today, AB InBev announced that you're extending the sponsorship for the FIFA World Cup. Why?
Well, we're very excited about that because essentially what you do is you bring together again for the 9th and 10th time the world's #1 global beer brand with the top event in the world's largest sport, which is soccer. So very excited about it.
So let's talk a little bit about what this does for the brand globally. I know that Budweiser has been a sponsor for, 25 years?
25 years.
How is this different, and why did you make the decision to extend it?
Well, we started in 1986 the first time, and it makes a lot of sense for Budweiser as a brand for two reasons. One, it helps us to further build that American dream in a bottle positioning that we want Budweiser to stand for, and do it on an unprecedented global scale. I mean, for reference, just the reach of the World Cup is something of incredible dimensions. The cumulative TV reach audience is in excess of 25 billion. Or if you look at it differently, the finals, just the finals of a 64-game championship, the finals attract 700 million people, which would be the equivalent of 5 times the Super Bowl in the United States. So it gives you a sense of the scale, and that's just traditional media. If you overlay that with the increasing possibilities of digital connections worldwide, it gives you a sense of the magnitude that brand Budweiser can connect with.
As far as the sponsorship, what does it entail? Specifically, sort of where will the branding be, and where will we see it executed?
We launched a platform called Bud United. Bud United really unites the passion of all that fans for, and a number of programs that we were activating both in traditional and in digital media on. Example of it would be Bud House. Bud House was quite innovation. Essentially was American Idol meets Survivor meets football. We put 32 fans in a house hidden in South Africa, and people were knocked out of the house as their team was knocked out of the tournament. But they blocked around, lots of things were happening, and that whole drama was amplified through digital and traditional media worldwide, is one example. We had, during that period, for example, 1 million consumers around the world extra liked Budweiser over Facebook and the likes. 4 billion impressions on budunited.com. What you could also see is people painted their faces all the time. You had 2.7 million people that expressed, their fan passion that we could activate, and on and on. A second program was the Man of the Match, for example. Now let me explain the Man of the Match. The Man of the Match, the Budweiser Man of the Match, traditionally, in those last years since '86, you have 64 games in the World Cup, and after each game, an official would say, you, dear person, are the man of the match. The best player was decided by an official. Budweiser said, no, we will democratize this right. The world can decide. And through the use of digital media, we allowed people to text in, to vote in via digital means. And the equivalent of over 64 games, 1.6 million people used that right. So essentially it's the equivalent of a stadium per game that decided on the man of the match. That's an example of how you connect in very different ways to the fan base.
Why was it so important to give that control to those fans?
Because what you bring to them is the excitement and passion for it. It's their tournament. People anticipate incredibly what their team is going to do. They root for their teams. It's the most fantastic football tournament in the world, and it's pride in the country that is taking place.
So Budweiser wants to have a global platform, a singular global message. What is it right now? I think you touched on it, but also, does it resonate in all markets the same way?
It clearly does. When, again, as part of the combination, we took our time to do solid research and get insights into what Budweiser stands for in the markets where it already existed before the combination. So it's, of course, it's a big brand in the United States. It was already doing very well in China, big presence in countries like the UK, Argentina, Canada, etc. And we looked in each one of those countries what it stands for, what it stood for in the mind of the consumer, and then also looked at what we wanted to stand for. And at the end of that research, very clearly what we see is Budweiser stands for the American dream in a bottle. It stands for those universal values that America is inspiring the world in. So it's an American brand with roots in the United States, but anchored in values that travel.